For my micro-teach lesson today, I'm going to be teaching you the first verse to American Pie by Don McLean. This will include the drum part, the chords which I will play on guitar, and the melody which will be played on piano. A bit of background about the song. It was recorded and released in 1971 and it was put on the American Pie album. Written about the February 3rd, 1959 tragedy, the day the music died, which is used in the song. That is the day that Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson died in a tragic plane crash. This was during Don McLean's childhood and affected him as they all were big idols to him and his music. Now straight into learning the drum part. I have got the drum part transcribed on the left hand of the screen. The time signature is in the standard 4/4. The BPM is roughly 135. The song starts off at around 120 and then at this part it speeds up to 135. The hi-hats are playing in eighth notes with a light accent on the downbeat, so on the 1, 2, 3 and 4, so on the quarter notes. And that will sound like this by itself. To get this accented sound, you need to go down. So you do a downstroke and then you go up. So you tap upwards and that's what gets the accent. As you can see, my wrists there. And then we've got a snare on the 2 and 4. The best way of playing this is that you don't do any rim shots. It has to be right in the center of the snare head. And it's going to sound like this. I also put a tea towel on the snare because that was often a technique they used when recording this, so that just gives it the sound that you want. The bass drum pattern, it hits on the 1 and the and of the 3, but to play it correctly, you have to line it up with the bass drum and the hi-hats need to be landed at the same time, so you need to work on getting your coordination on point with that. And also, to get it perfect, every 2 bars you add an extra bass drum on the and of the 4, so it's a push into the 3rd bar. Also, there's a little accent part on open hi-hats and the 7th bar of the grid, as you can see down the bottom left of the transcription. That is when there's 2 open hi-hats, both played with the bass drum as well. So again, you need to make sure your coordination is on point with that. And that will be on the and of 2 and the and of 3. So once you've played the snare, you have to open up your hi-hat straight away. And that's what this sounds like. And once you've got it all put together, you'll play through the 8 bars, again, 4/4, with 135 BPM, and this is what it sounds like. Okay, so that's the drum part. Just to quickly go over, hi-hats have to be accented and they're 8th notes, snare 2 and 4 throughout the whole thing, bass drum pattern 1 and the and of 3, and every 2 goes rounds there's 1 on the and of 4, and then don't forget the bar 7, as that is a lead in to the next vocal line or melody. Now onto the guitar chords. This is in the G major scale, so the only sharp it has is an F sharp. in the transcription, I haven't shown the F sharps, but you can see on the treble clef there is the sharp note to symbolise that it is in the key of G major. So the chords go G, A minor, C, A minor, E minor, D, D, G, D. So as you can see by the transcription, each chord lasts one whole bar, except for the last bar, bar 8, which has 2 beats of G and then 2 beats of D. The chords, if you learn better by Roman numerals, it goes 1, 2, 4, 2, 6, 5, 1, 5. That's what it looks like in the key. Now I'm going to show you the finger placements to play the chords on the guitar. The first chord we're going to start with is G major. This is when you put your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string. That's the thickest string on the guitar. You get your index finger and you put it on the 2nd fret of the A string. And then finally you put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string. Then you play all 6 strings and that gets you G major. Then we'll move on to A minor, which is where you have your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. You then put your index finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and then your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. You play all strings but the low E, and that's how you get A minor. Then to get to C, it's very similar to A minor, but you swap your ring finger to be on the 3rd fret of the A string, and again you play all strings but the low E. And to play E minor, I do this by putting my index finger on the 2nd fret of the A string and my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. You play all 6 strings to get E minor. And then the final chord, which is D major, you play this by having your index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the high E string, and your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. And then you only play the 4 highest strings, which are D, G, B and E strings. And that's D major. The strumming pattern goes down, down, up, 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 down. Every so often it will go down, down, up, 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 down. But mainly sticking to down, down, up, up, up. And that's just one bar. So of course, downs go on the 1 and the 2. And then the ups on the offbeats. So technically you strum on 1, 2, the and of 2, the and of 3, and the and of 4. Again, having that push into the next bar. And that's how this sounds. Now to play the melody on piano. So, again, it's in the G major scale, so you only have to hit an F sharp. That's the only sharp, and it's only played a couple times in this. Starting note is D, and then it goes up and down slowly, starting with D, then going to E, then staying on E, then going back down to D, and then D again, then it goes D, C, then to A, stays on A again, B, C, that carries on into the next line, so C into the next bar, and then it goes B again, C, B, C, B, G, back to B, then a rest, another quarter note rest, and then it goes G, 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 F sharp, G, G, that G follows on into the next bar, F sharp, E, E, quarter note rest. Then there's two beat rest, and then it goes up to E, so it goes up the octave to where you last were, and then D, D, D again. The second D leads into the third one on the next bar. D, D again, but that last D goes down the scale to B. So it goes from a D down to B, which we'll try and blend by pressing the two together, and then finally ending on a B again. So the melody does start on the second beat of the first bar, and the smallest division you play is eighth notes, so it's not too complex. Quite often, as you can see, rhythms repeat themselves, especially if you look at the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th bar. They repeat a lot. So we'll go a bar at a time. So the first one goes like this. The second bar goes like this. Third bar goes like this. The fourth bar goes like this. Fifth bar goes like this. Sixth bar goes like this. Seventh bar goes like this. Remember, this one starts on the 3. And the 8th bar goes like this. And then the melody altogether sounds like this. And now, if we bring all the pieces together, the drum part, then the guitar, and then the melody, it sounds like this. Okay, so that is the end of the lesson. Hope you enjoyed learning this verse. It's not, as I say, it's not too complex, stays in G major, and it's quite fun to play, so thank you.